It's time for me to roll around to do another ASICS video, and just like the last ASICS video that I did, this one's a pair of sneakers, not just one sneaker on its own, but a little pack. And I'm talking about these guys right here, which is the Back Streets of Japan pack. Two sneakers that represent the neon and the vibrance of places like Shinjuku's Kabukicho, and then also the sort of authentic old-fashioned kind of temples that you get when you imagine sort of the old style of Japan. And those two together smashed it up in that pack. And then here we are with another pack coming along. Now, I truly really appreciate the feedback I got on that Backstreets of Japan video. It was the only word I could think about was authentic, what I got from that. People really truly appreciate the video and being able to look at those ASICs and give you guys some insight into how they were put together. And that's why I thought, you know what I'll do with this video? Here we have two ASICS sneakers that are tying it up with Vivienne Westwood, one of the major fashion designers out there in the world. So we're going to have these two worlds colliding. People from the fashion industry, people from high couture, I can't even say the words, I'm so dumb, and you've got those people in that world, and then you've got sneakerheads, people like me who are into their Nikes and their Adidas and wouldn't have a clue what Vivienne Westwood was up to, you know, like these are two different worlds, and they're going to collide together in this video. And with any luck, my hope is that the people from the fashion world will be able to watch this and kind of get an understanding of what's going on in the sneaker world and how that actually comes into the shoe, especially in one place. There's something that's really hot for the sneaker world right now that's come out in these shoes, and I think that's kind of deliberate, trying to bridge those two worlds, and I'm going to try and do that in this video. So without further ado, let's get into this and have a close-up look at the upcoming release of the ASICS Kayano 27 Vivienne Westwoods. This is the Tokyo About a 23 Sneaker channel. Tokyo About a 23 Sneaker channelです。毎日アップするので毎日見てください。And every single day from Tokyo, Japan, I bring you content about upcoming sneaker releases, sneaker news, and sneaker reviews. And in the spotlight today is the Vivienne Westwood collaboration with ASICS, and I'm just pulling your leg on that, Westwood. But the problem is, sneaker world, Westbrook, big basketball player in the States, Russell Westbrook, a big sneaker line, and whenever I see this name, I can't help but sort of slip and try and say Westbrook when I know I should be saying Westwood, so forgive me if I stumble over that throughout this video. But that's another example of, you know, these worlds colliding, the fashion industry and the sneaker world, which have been colliding together, you know, let's be honest, for quite some time. If you think about the Yeezy line, for example, making its way into the high street, so that whole Westbrook thing is going to play on my mind, but I'm going to do my best to get around that and then bring you about these shoes, these two pairs. It's a pack. One's a sort of white base and the other one's a more of a tan base, and we'll take them apart a little bit and look at the detailing on it, look at some of the branding on it, look at the story of it. But before we do any of that, what I want to do for those people from the fashion world that are sticking around to watch this video is to tell you about the technology behind it, because when it comes to sneakers, one of the most important things, especially at the top end of the market, is the midsole. The midsole is the cushion and the soft stuff that makes things feel good when you're walking on the street. It is not did I say midfoot or midsole just now? I meant midsole, whichever one I said. It's not the outsole. The outsole is the bit that actually hits the pavement or the sidewalk or whatever and is a bit more durable. But underneath that, or between that and the upper part of the shoe, is the midsole, which is a very soft part of the shoe to give you cushioning instead of durability. If that was flush to the pavement, it would wear away extremely quickly, and that's why you need rubber on the outsole side of things. But what's going on in these guys is they've got two midsole technologies that play in the middle, and the one that we want to really focus on looks like this, and this is the gel technology from ASICS. So the fashion world out there, maybe you don't know this, but basically I'm sure 99% of people in fashion will definitely know Nike Air, and the idea that there's air units within a lot of Nike sneakers to give you that comfortable cushioning. A few fewer people from the fashion world will know what I mean when I say Boost from the Adidas line. The Boost midsole technology started, I'm going to say, maybe 7 years ago, and had a really big crossover appeal into the fashion world and street fashion in its early days, but now it's sort of faded back into a kind of niche within the sneaker world. It doesn't really have that crossover appeal that it did have. But mental comfortable, absolutely insanely comfortable, the Boost technology on the midsoles. But when you've got this kind of battle going on between the sneaker brands to try and come out with some kind of soft cushioning midsole technology to one up their competitors. Of course, Nike started that with the Air, and then other brands have come along with different variants along the way. And the ASICS variant on that is what's behind me here, and hopefully it's been behind me for a while. It's called Gel. Now, sometimes it's referred to as Gel Light in certain sneakers. Gel Light 3s are very popular, for example. But these guys here, the Kayano, the Gel Kayano 27s, and they use that gel technology. And the idea is that encased within the midsole is this gel unit. So instead of it being air and empty, it's actually a gel, and it has resilience. And I'm not just talking resilience as in like, you be strong, pal. I'm talking resilience as in the scientific word for resilience, that when something changes shape, it's able to bounce back to its original shape. That's what resilience literally means. And in the case of gel from the ASICS line, the gel is able to return to its original state time and time and time again, regardless of how many footsteps you put on these things. And they have a very interesting design. Again, it'll be shown behind me on the screen here, to absorb the shock of your foot and spread it out across the midsole, so that you're not just having the same kind of impact zone in one place, but you've still got that soft cushioning in there in that gel. Now you move forward from that, and there's a different kind of technology, which is the flight, I think it's flight foam is what it's called. It doesn't matter if I get it right or not, because you can zoom in on here. You can see the front half of the midsole technology is flight foam. Very soft materials, like I said, to give you that cushioning. And we'll quickly flip to the outsole, since we're on that section of the shoe, of the tan pair, I think, and you get an idea of what's going on down there. And you can see the rubber outsole that will have more durability and impact on roads and pavements that you wouldn't have with that soft cushioning on the midsole. So that's the bottom half of the shoe. That's why the gel is important in ASICS, and that's a particular look at the Gel Kayano 27's technology. But we're really interested more in the hits of Vivienne Westwood, nearly said Westbrook, throughout the shoe in the different places that they come into play, and especially that one bit of design which is really popular in the sneaker world right now. So let's start with that one bit of design first, and then we'll jump over to the branding to finish up this video. And what I'm talking about is something like this here. You know what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick my favorite ones, which is from a collaboration with the Nike line, or the Jordan line, which is part of the Nike line. That's from a brand out of China called Clot. And Clot do a really good job, and they have done a really good job over the last 24 months of putting removable uppers on the outside edge of their sneakers that you can then peel away and reveal something else down below. My favorite being the Jordan 1 mids, which had a very beautiful and intricate white and grey upper, but you could peel that away to reveal a gold upper underneath. So that whole, fake outer shell that can be removed to reveal an inner shell is a very big thing in sneaker world right now. And part of that, if you take that, removable uppers as a whole, I would say, there's a section of that which is that's already been removed. I remember seeing this with Air Max 95s. I think maybe a Black History Month one did it, and there was something else that did it as well, where they actually had already removed the outer shell for you. Usually it's up to you how you decide to remove that outer shell, and which parts you do and which parts you don't. But in the case of these guys, you can see that there's some kind of netting that goes around just above the midsole, and it's very securely embedded in the shoe. And hopefully the toe box is showing us that here on the green screen. You can see that that rubber netting is embedded very deeply, so it's not going to fall off anytime soon. But if you go up from that, where you can see the rubber netting revealed, and it seems to have been cut away. So if you imagine the whole shoe encased in this kind of netting, and then somebody comes along and cuts it away, and you're left with just the edge running around the sort of corners of the shoe. And that's very hot in the sneaker world right now, and I think that's a very deliberate choice by Vivienne Westwood and her team of collaborators and designers, and it's big news on this shoe. And other big news on this shoe is the branding of Vivienne Westwood herself, and I think I'm right in saying I can think of 3 different places where we see that. First and foremost, down a bit lower end of the upper, you can see her icon, or her logo, which is very regal and has a sort of crown feel to it, which is very of our times, with Prince Philip's funeral not long ago, and the ongoing saga with Harry and Meghan in California as they sort of try but don't to untangle themselves from the royal family, and so that royal sort of logo on there from Vivienne Westwood is there in the shoe, and then if you come forward from that, you get the kind of dimensions and the numbers that make up the shoe with Vivienne Westwood's name in there as well. And that's also echoed in the second place, which is you go up from that past the ASICS branding and onto the lacing system. You can see again up there VWs and stuff like that playing around the lacing system to give you that Vivienne Westwood feel, but also some more sort of the details of the shoe. So that's kind of, it's more construction. It's almost like revealing the inner sort of workings of the shoe, but a normal place where you get standard kind of branding, especially in collaborations, on the insole, and that's what that looks like here. For these shoes is the insole, you've got the ASICS branding, but alongside that the Vivienne Westwood branding as well. So those are the three main hits on the shoe, or the shoes I should say, where you get that explicit nod to the designer. And then then the last thing I really want to get into is I want to focus in on the tan one of the two, because for me the tan one of the two is actually the above the rest, the other two I should say, or the other one of the two. It's the tan ones that I gravitate to more, and I see more elegance and more fashion in them than the white ones. The white ones are kind of standard looking to me, even though there's some really nice colours and some really nice hits on the shoe. It's the tan one that I look at and think, you know what, that's the one that bridges those two worlds of high fashion and the sneaker world together, and kind of brings and pulls it off, if you know what I'm saying. So so that's my look at these shoes. Hopefully you've understood what I was talking about, the technology behind them, the construction behind them, why that matters to the sneaker world, and then you've got the design elements and the fashion elements and why that matters in the fashion world, and trying to crash that together and explain why that matters to you in the YouTube world. So hopefully you appreciate that and this all made sense to you, and fingers crossed it did, and you'll be back again to check out some of my videos in the future. And the way you can do that is because I remind you at the end of my videos every single time that I do this every single day, 7 days a week, non-stop, guaranteed. And because of that, that means 100% you are guaranteed to see me tomorrow.